Stephanie Kelton is a former chief economist for the Senate Budget Committee and the author of The Deficit Myth. She joins me now. Stephanie, I needed to talk to you tonight because there are a lot of reasonable people who say to me, why is your hair on fire, Ali? This has happened before. We never don't increase the debt limit. It's all going to be fine. And my warning is it probably is, and I hope it is. But if it isn't, this time is different. This is remarkably serious because of what Congressman Kildee just said. You can't be raising interest rates and lowering interest rates at the same time if you have a recession and inflation.
Well, you're right. I completely agree with you. I'm more nervous this time than I have been in previous years. And I've been through this, as you have, many times before. I do worry that this Congress might be different, that this time might be different. And you've covered this ground already very well tonight. It would be unimaginable, a cataclysmic event that would ripple very quickly through the global financial system, that would touch people in ways they can't even imagine. You know, this isn't like setting part of the house on fire and thinking, well, we'll lose the guest bedroom and the half bath, but the rest of the structure will be standing. The whole thing is vulnerable. If we were to push the limit and threaten default, there's no saving the structure. It is really like burning everything down.
So there was reporting from the Washington Post that the Republicans have a plan. It's called prioritization. If we reach the debt limit, which Treasury Secretary Yellen says she can move things around until about June, and then we have a real problem. They'll pay some things, but they won't pay others. They'll pay bondholder interest, but they won't pay maybe air traffic controllers. It's not really the way the world works. Either there's the full faith and credit of the United States government, or there isn't. In the same way that if you pay your mortgage but you don't pay your car payment, the banks all know that you're a bad risk and your interest rate goes up.
Yeah, I mean, these are the people who constantly complain about government picking winners and losers, right? And that is exactly what this would require. As you just said, they've apparently said that they want to prioritize paying bondholders, but then where does that leave you? Who do you stiff? Do you stiff civilian employees, military personnel? Do you stiff government contractors, healthcare providers, seniors who rely on Social Security just to get by? I mean, it's an unimaginable thing. There is no computer keyboard where you can go in and program these payments. It doesn't work like this. These guys haven't given this 10 seconds of thought. They can't do what it is they think they can do.
So the other thing people tell me, Stephanie, is that we've got low unemployment. We do have economic growth. Why are we worried about the idea of a recession? Why are we worried that the Fed may have to start reducing interest rates, which is what you do if you get into a recession? There are a number of economists, and I don't know if you're one of them, who think that there is some chance, regardless of how strong the economy looks at the moment, that we could end up in a recession in 2023.
Sure. We could, but, you know, Ali, we stand a very good chance in the present moment of avoiding that. This coveted soft landing that people have talked so much about, where we managed to get inflation back down without forcing the economy into a recession. We still have a chance at that. But if we push this, and you just said it, you said if the government starts saying, well, we're going to pay some of the people some of the time and other people none of the time, those missed payments are cash flow that somebody's relying on. It's their wage payment. It's their salary. It's the contractors' cash flow that they're relying on so they can pay their workers, so that people can pay their landlords, so they stay current on their rent. And so if we were to do this and default on the debt, that domino effect of the missed payments resulting in a loss of income or revenue or profit that doesn't allow the business to pay its bills and the homeowner and the worker to pay their bills. So it just bleeds through the system. And that's how you arrive at a very bad place in terms of this recession scenario you're talking about.
I got a minute left, Stephanie, but I want to ask you, because I'm a man of a certain age, so I think about Japan. I think about getting into a situation where you're stuck. Japan lost an entire decade because they both had slow growth and inflation at the same time. Is that even a possibility in America?
Well, if we get the policy wrong, sure, because I would make the argument that in addition to some demographic challenges, what happened in Japan is really just a failure, mostly of fiscal policy. It was this belief that you really just have to lean on the central bank, in their case, the Bank of Japan, and try to engineer through quantitative easing and low interest rates and all of this, try to somehow generate enough growth to get inflation up. This is the problem they've been battling for so many years, was trying to actually get inflation to move higher. So I think they didn't get the fiscal policy part right. And so if we were to get the fiscal policy very wrong, I think it's possible that we could end up in a low growth environment. But Ali, I will just say in closing, inflation is coming down very quickly. If you don't pay as much attention to the year over year, because we're still working through a lot of things, look at the last 6 months. Virtually everything is moving in the right direction. We have disinflation underway, and 6 months from now, my sense is that we are going to be in a much, much better place on the inflation front. The Fed's going to have to do a lot less.
If we don't mess this up from a policy perspective. Stephanie, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us, Stephanie Kelton.